Let me see. All right, so hopefully I can be heard. Let's check it out. All right, so hopefully I can be heard. Let's check it out. All right, we're good. We're good. We're good. Yeah. So apparently, this is wild. So apparently, Thomas Sowell, like I heard Tariq Nasheed, I heard him, have his lives and people would quote or mention Thomas Sowell and Tariq would he'd be like, oh God, but I didn't know who Thomas Sowell. I thought he was like an upstanding. When I heard the name, I could never put a face on it or even a voice to it or a lecture or a video, nothing. I just thought the name was like respectable. So when people called in with like Thomas Sowell, I'm like, I'm thinking he's like some respectable guy with the information. So I knew the name Larry Elder. That sounds like a cool name. So I never took that name serious. So they would use his talking points, but I had no idea when they were calling Tariq Nasheed that Thomas Sowell was the caller's God. I didn't know they were quoting this guy information like it was the Bible until recently, right? So finally, I had to say, you know what? Because I believe somebody recently called Tariq Nasheed and said Thomas Sowell, but they were for the first time they gave it some context. They made it clear that he's like against FBA's. So I'm like, oh, okay. Let me look into this guy. Okay, before I looked into him, I looked into Larry Elder first. And I knew Larry Elder most likely would have some crazy anti-FBA talking points, and he did. And I'm gonna play some of their talking points today. It's gonna go down. So after this live, it's gonna be RIP to anybody who follows Thomas Sowell or parrot his talking point, and it's going to be RIP to Thomas Sowell. And anybody who dare to quote Larry Elder, right, or even use Larry Elder, borrow his talking points, it's going to be RIP to you as well. So for some reason, people think that these guys got so much information. People think that these guys are so knowledgeable. And I'm saying to those people, this is why I am him and you are who you are. You are who you are for a reason. All right, which is a nothing burger. I'm him for a reason. Okay. So I'm gonna easily show how these guys are nothing burgers, weak, weak individuals who can't F with me on no level. Like I will cook both of them in real time in real life in a debate. They'll never accept it because they know. You know why I know I can be that confident? Because they know they are lying. Yes, when I fact check these guys, they're mixing truth with falsehood. So they have all the information, but they will take excerpts out of it or leave little things out and not take the whole thing. All right. So I meant to ask Focus when he was on a phone call, hey, how you feel about Thomas Stowell and Larry Elder? Matter of fact, let me do that right now. I forgot to ask him. Here, two coons. Let me text him right now before I get started. because I don't want to cook him and then he hear it and be like, nah, I don't rock with him. But yes, 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 they're talking points. And because I study history for real, because I study Black history for real, I'm able to determine when somebody's not yeah, yeah, when somebody's not telling the whole truth. So pretty much I know what they know and I know what they're not I know what they're holding back, right? So I do the same thing when I speak to, in the religious realm, when I have my religious discussions, on the religious doctrines. I know when people know what they know and I know what they're holding back. Okay. And that's why you see what happened to Focus, right? Oh, I never heard that before. I know you never heard it before. And that's why I'm him and you are who you are. And whoever that may be, it ain't him because you never heard that before. Remember? And tonight, there's some arguments that's coming from Thomas Sowell and Larry Elder. Larry Elder stamps them. So Larry Elder is basically a mini me, a cheap version of the real Uncle Tom, Thomas Sowell. So Thomas Sowell is he's like damn near a million views every lie he tell in a video. And Larry Elder is like doing my type of numbers, like nothing serious at all. Nothing special about him. Okay, so once I do this right here, I'm gonna get to that computer and cook. I'm telling you, there's nobody on the net. Well, not in our spaces. Okay, I don't know what somebody else did, but in our spaces, nobody cooked on these guys because they don't even know how to debunk them. They don't even know if they're lying or not. Okay, I wonder if I could use it. Yo, you know what? I believe I could use their lies and cook the conscious community. Because I don't believe they know. I don't believe they understand what is a lie and what's not. What is some of the truth and what is embellishment? I don't believe they know this. But somehow they on my level. Somehow, right? They don't even have a lane. Like, dude, what's your lane, man? What are you good at? What talking points are you good at? Like, folks ain't even got a lane. Like, Kwame, what's your lane, my boy? American Dream, what's your lane? What are you good at? What topic? Dudes just be running their mouth and good at, and then think they can compete. So I found another video where I was cooking on American Dream that I forgot about. Okay, that dude stay catching L's. Okay, that dude stay catching L's. All right, dudes be trying, and I keep inviting them back on. I was like, all right, well, try again, like, because I don't believe they're gonna hit a home run. They're gonna swing and miss, swing and miss. That's why I don't mind inviting Kwame on. I don't mind inviting Focus on or American Dream. Yeah, try again. Take a swing at the champ. Try to knock me out. Go Google, go research, come back and try again. Like I'm not confident. Like, dude, I don't care what argument we had, and you go run and research. But he was mad as hell. He came back to me and realized, oh, you researched? Yes, I did, my brother. Now, R.I.P. Oh, unbiased research. Yes, I did. Now, guess what? R.I.P. R.I.P. Oh yeah, that was it. When he did that was the second talking point when he did the brain drain. He tried to act like they cut an internal brain drain within a country is the same as country to country. So he come back on with that same dumbass, no updated version, no updated information. After yeah, you did more research. Like he acted like doing more research was a bad thing. So I was not supposed to read. And up, bro, you don't know who I am? That's a shame. You see? You don't know who I am. Don't know. Yeah, yeah, bro, I'm a researcher. This guy said, you did more research? Bro, I am a researcher. Get here. Go ahead. Go, go. Did I do research? That's what researchers do. Researchers research. But he knows who I am now. So he tried to change the subject, the topic. Then he came back on. And look, I'm gonna do a clip of that one, that discussion with the brain drain. This idiot. I would never be that dumb on a panel. And then he was like, "Yeah, man, the South, they got most of it. They got all that. The South economy was fueled by enslavement. So was the North. No, no, the North was against enslavement. It was the South. No, the North too. No, the North. No, I said no. Let me explain. So I said, yeah, man, the North funded the plantations in the South. All right, they funded slavery. Nah, you're wrong. A tether. Now y'all know I get offended when a tether tell me I'm wrong about FBA history. Okay. This research says, oh, it tried to change the subject. Oh, no, but just stop. You just said I was wrong. Dude, am I wrong or right? Don't tell me something else. Oh, so by the way, Thomas Sowell, some of the videos I'm going to show you on Thomas Sowell, I forgot to add this part in. I was in his comment section because every white supremacist was praising him. And I was in the comment section replying to each and every last one of them, saying, "Nah, yo, this is a gross misrepresentation of history." I said, "Yo, he's mixing truth with lies. Like this is accurate information, and you guys just praising it." Man, when I got back to my computer the next day, I had like 1,000 messages of white supremacists. Call me a bot, all type of stuff. I'm like, hey man, y'all know y'all could easily just pull up if y'all believe this information is correct, if y'all believe blacks own, if y'all believe FBA owns slaves like you say he did, like the in the which you're describing it, pull up. I give you the phone number. I don't just cook on coons and tethers. Pull up. Okay, so what we got here? What we got here? We got a lot of the breeding farms were in Virginia and Maryland in the early days of breeding. Hey, here. Eat your food, go right to sleep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you said early. Yeah, so I did something on breeding as well. I did some research on breeding. I looked it over. I really ain't like dig in it like that. So I wouldn't know what you're talking about. I mean, I can understand what you're saying, but I couldn't confirm or deny. So I'm just reading. I'm just reading. Thank you for the information though. MR Matron. Matter of fact, okay. Hey, Kwame, I had it. Matter of fact, I can't do that. Okay. So let me ask Kwame. Kwame, do you believe that Thomas Sowell and Larry Elder are truthful individuals? If you believe so, I need you to click that link. So our Matron, you probably got to type that over because your text went out. I don't believe the word black was a classification at that time, Kwame. So you might want to fix that terminology. I don't think anybody was being called black. And we don't trust you. You be wrong too much. Okay. We don't trust you. You be wrong too much. But I do hope some of the white supremacists pull up that was on Thomas Sowell page acting like I didn't know what I was talking about. I will like for them to pull up and you know they're gonna be disrespectful. Yeah, okay, come lay down. Yeah, you knew they were disrespectful. No, lay down. Right there. Yeah. It's sleep time. All right, hold on, hold on. Yeah, so let me see if they had responded. Any white supremacist responded from his channel. No. They didn't respond. Oh my God. All right, so let me see before I get started. Jerome Peace, man. Yeah. Yeah, so write that over R. Matron, Kwame. I don't really know enough about them. Okay. I don't know if you're wrong or not, brother. I didn't even source up. I don't know if they were biracial or not. Well, I do know some of them. When y'all say biracial, y'all got to be clear. Like what? Like because so we got a. Would you consider Paul Cuff biracial? His dad was from Ghana and his mother was Native American. You know, is that considered biracial to y'all, or is biracial like I don't know what y'all classify as biracial? Is that biracial, or is biracial just black and white? Because some people I heard regard white and black, white and African only as biracial. So before I like assume, you guys let me know what you consider biracial. Um, but when y'all say things like 80 and 90%, like I'm gonna need that. That's something I'm gonna need. I'm gonna need that. But I know Kwame be wrong too much though. Kwame, you gotta take your time. So like Kwame, he be on those like he be see the research got to lead you into your conclusion. You cannot lead the research. So people like Focus and Kwame and IBM, like they like to lead the research into what they wanted to say, what they wanted to verify. That's not how you research. Okay. Okay. So let me give let me give Kwame a a wrench. Put that link in there for Henry Louis Gates Kwame before I get started cooking on these guys. Put that link in there, Kwame, for Henry Louis Gates. So you mean to tell me Martin Rodman Delaney was a mixed race man? I don't know. You put me on. I didn't research their like what type of black what were they mixed with a Native American or a white man. But put that link real fast before I get started. Put that link real fast about uh You said Henry Louis Gates Jr., March 4th, 2013. Put that in the chat real quick. Put that link in the chat. Matter of fact, before let me get you out the way before I get started. I'm gonna have you call in real fast, but you're not. You can't stay on. I don't want to. And I don't want you to do my show bad because people want to hear these guys get cooked. And that's probably why I'm a better researcher than you guys because I don't lead the research. I let it lead me. And I like look, sometimes the research concludes something I did not want it to. It goes against what I was doing. So I'm like, damn. Yeah, that happens with real thorough researchers where you're hoping it leads you you're hoping it agrees with what you thought, and sometimes it just don't. You're like, damn, yeah, that's a big hit. Okay, well, okay, it's only one thing to do. Drop that talking point. You dig? And that hurts because you put out a thought in that talking point and it turned out that it's pseudo. Okay, so let me go ahead and oh man, I thought you had the video, bro. I thought you had the video. Wait, is it the video? I see a video. Hold on. I see a video. It won't open though. Wait, is it? Hold on. Shoot, hold on. The video is playing, it's taking long. All right, give me a second. Let's get this video right. What the hell is this? Nah, yo, where is the video? Yeah, that's not good research, Kwame. Hey, Kwame, can you see my screen? That's not good research. Can you see my screen, Kwame? Let me know. Can you see my screen, Kwame? Peace, Anthony. Call for president. Okay, where's my top? 30 minutes. I don't have 30 minutes. I'm gonna be honest, because I'm gonna be cooking by then. Maybe afterwards, you could call in. Okay, don't change yet. What? Oh, okay. So now let me show you. So this is what you showed me right here. So let me just show what you showed me. Okay. The reason why I said send me a link because I thought you were going to send this, him actually talking about black people owning slaves. So I wanted to see what you knew and what you didn't know. Okay, so you see how my research goes compared to yours? All right. So I actually got the brother talking.
of the free Many of the free Negroes stayed in the South. Do you know in the 1860 census?
All right. So I'm gonna get to that later. So I just wanted to see where your research was at. But I thought you was gonna send me that. I was gonna be impressed. But you sent me this. Okay. Which don't say much. All right. So the root. Now the root is a tether site. Okay. And you see, you know what? Let me read this. You know what? I'm glad you sent this. This is for the wrong. Let me see. The root has a chance right now to win my respect. To win my respect. If the roots get this right, I'm gonna give them some points. If they get it wrong, I'm gonna call them tethers. Okay. For those who are wondering about the retro title of this Black History series, please take a moment to learn about historian Joel A. Rogers. Okay, it says by Henry Louis Gates Jr., published March 4th, 2013. For those who are wondering about the retro, okay, we read that. So this is the 1934 book, 100 Amazing Facts About the. Okay, so a historian, Joel Rogers, Joel A. Rogers. I got to find out who this is real fast. This is important, brother. So I'm gonna show you how to do this. This is what you probably didn't do. I just got to know this guy's background. Because sometimes when you get their background and it says a white supremacist, I already know their angle. All right. Okay, the black guy. Look, he looks black to me. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, brother. He was a oh my God. He was a Jamaican American author. Oh shit. Who focused on the history of Africa as well as the African diaspora after settling, Ellis Island. Ellis Island guy. He became interested in, okay, look at this guy, this tether came, he became interested in our history, United States. His research spanned the academic fields of history, sociology, and anthropology. He challenged prevailing ideas about, okay, he might not be a tether. He challenged scientific racism, so he might actually be an ally. And the social construction of race demonstrated the connections between civilizations and traced achievements of ethnic Africans, including some with mixed ancestry. He was one of the earliest popularizers of African and African American history in the 20th century. Okay, so I'm gonna give him a chance. Okay, I'm gonna give him a chance because he seemed like he might be decent. Okay, okay, so he's not a tether just yet. Let's see. He can go from ally to tether. One of the most vexing questions in African American history is whether free African Americans themselves owned slaves. The short answer to this question, as you might suspect, is yes, of course. Some free black people in this country bought and sold other black people, and did so at least since 1654, continuing to do so right through the Civil War period. For me, the really fascinating questions about black slave owning are how many black masters were involved, how many slaves did they own, and why did they own slaves? Okay, it looks like he might be going to something very valuable, but let's see. Let's see. The answers to the questions are complex, and historians have been arguing for some time over whether free blacks purchased family members as slaves in order to protect them, motivated on the one hand by benevolence and philanthropy, as historian Carter G. Woodson put it, or whether, on the other hand, they purchased other Black people as an act of exploitation, primarily to exploit their free labor for profit, just as white slave owners did. The evidence shows that, unfortunately, both things are true. All right, now, we're about to see how bad he is as a researcher. The great African American historian John Hope Franklin states this clearly. The majority of owners of slaves had some personal interest in their property, but he admits there were instances, however, in which the free Negro had a real economic interest in the institution of slavery and held slaves in order to improve their. It looks like so far, it looks like this might not be a bad read so far. Okay, so far it looks like it's a decent read. In a fascinating essay reviewing this controversy, R. Halliburton shows that free Black people have owned slaves in each of the 13 colonies and later in every state that countenanced slavery, at least since Anthony Johnson and his wife Mary went to court in Virginia in 1654 to obtain the services of their indentured servant, a Black man, John Castor for life. And a four-time free Black people could even own the services of white indentured servants in Virginia as well. Free Blacks owned slaves in Boston by 1724 and in Connecticut by 1783. By 1790, 48 black people in Maryland owned 143 slaves. One particularly notorious black Maryland farmer named Nat Butler regularly purchased and sold Negroes for the Southern trade. Halliburton wrote, perhaps this most insidious or desperate attempt to defend the right of black people to own slaves was a statement made on the eve of the Civil War by a group of free people of color in New Orleans, offering their services to the. Okay, all right. Okay, so now this might be coming off as bullshit. So you just might be a tether. Okay, because actually that's part of my title today. Watch this. The Confederacy. That was in my stuff. Look, look. See? We need to defend our way of life by arming the people we oppress. So this is like a joke on the Confederacy trying to hire enslaved people to defend the Confederacy. So nobody actually, and that's okay. So this is gonna be fake news. All right. So it's looking like fake news. It's looking like it's looking like fake news. Right. But let's see. Let's see. Offering their services to now, yeah. So I'm gonna say right now, this is most likely bullshit. When it says perhaps the most insidious or desperate attempt to defend the right of black people to own slaves was a statement made on the eve of the Civil War by a group of free black people of color in New Orleans offering their services to the Confederacy in part because they were fearful for their own enslavement. The free colored population native of Louisiana owned slaves and they are dearly attached to their native land and they are ready to shed their blood for her defense. They have no sympathy for abolitionism, no love for the North, but they have plenty for Louisiana. They will fight for her in 1861 as they fought to defend. Okay, so yeah, so far it's coming off tetherish. These guys were, to put it bluntly, opportunists, part excellence as Noah Andre. All right, let's get to it, man. When Orleans fell in the late 1862 to the Union, about 10% of these men, not missing a beat, now formed the Native Guard Corps, the effort to defend the Union. Joel A. Rogers noted this phenomenon in his 100 Amazing Facts. The Negro slaveholders, like white ones, fought to keep their chattels. Okay, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. I need to read it more. All right, so this is a bunch of bullshit, right? Again, it's the root. This is a tether-owned company. Yeah, so misinformation. But it took a tether to mention tethers, so we get it. Uh, okay, right. I got it. Axe. Yeah. So I knew not to trust Kwame's source. I knew better. I read it because I thought it's gonna go somewhere. Okay, so I'm gonna get to the real fact. You see, it says, look, it says gotcha. So this is a gotcha thing that white supremacists and coons like Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell will say. They'll say, did you, so look at the right side. Did you know that some blacks owned slaves? Actually, free black slaveholders were less than 1% of slave owners. So, and then when you say slaves, we'll get into whether they was acting like the white man or were they buying their families out of slavery. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so let's get into your boy with his talking points. So I played this already. I'll play a little bit of it.
Racism, systemic racism, structural racism, pernicious racism. Former AG Eric Holder says America is bedeviled by what he calls pernicious racism, something that America, he claims, is reluctant to address.
Though this nation has proudly thought of itself as a ethnic melting pot, in things racial, we have always been, and we, I believe, continue to be, in too many ways, essentially a nation of cowards.
In a speech, Mr. Holder cited
Shit.
three examples of pernicious racism. Example one, the push for voter ID. Rather than addressing a supposedly widespread problem of voter fraud, these policies disproportionately disenfranchise African Americans, Hispanics, and other communities of color, and vulnerable populations such as the elderly. But interfering with or depriving a person of the right to vote should never be a political aim. It is a moral failing. End of quote. Really?
Republican State Senate leader Phil Berger denies that. He voted for a bill that passed on party lines.
Your state elections board said that they've only had one documented case of voter impersonation fraud in 2012.
Okay,
You
this is
say-
dumb right here. This is dumb.
American students are nearly 4 times more likely.
All right, here we go.
Both policies, end of quote. The next example of pernicious racism given to us by Eric Holder is the disparate expulsion rates of black students.
Now, I wish like hell one of you guys argue his talking points on this channel.
There was a new report that shows African American students are nearly 4 times more likely to be suspended from school than their white classmates, and that trend begins in preschool.
Eric Holder claims the reason for the disparate rates has to do with racism. Codified segregation of public schools has been barred since Brown, but in too many of our school districts, significant divisions persist and segregation has reoccurred, including zero-tolerance school discipline practices that, while well-intentioned and aimed at promoting school safety, affect black males at a rate 3 times higher than their white peers, end of quote. Here's the problem. Jesse Jackson sued the Decatur, Illinois School Board, claiming that they were engaged in institutional racism. The school board expelled several students after a football game for fighting, and Jesse Jackson sued them, claiming that they were expelled because they were black. The Decatur School Board defended itself by pointing out all around the country, no matter the race of the teacher, no matter the race of the principal, no matter the race of the school board, black boys were disproportionately kicked out of school for bad behavior. The district judge threw out the lawsuit. Moral to the story, maybe, just maybe, it was the behavior of these black kids. Are you really prepared to accuse teachers, the teachers union on whom the Democratic Party depends, you know, are you willing to accuse these teachers of engaging in systemic institutional racism against the very students that they signed up to teach? Really? Now, disparate sentencing. In our criminal justice system, systemic...
All right, so let's unpack that. All right, I'm so well researched on these subjects. As soon as he got done speaking, I'm like, Larry Elder is a poser. Like, he really does not know that subject. He really doesn't know the school to prison pipeline. And let me put the phone number in the chat in case anybody feeling froggy. I put the phone number in there earlier. Hold on. Okay, let me put the phone back in the chat. Okay, if you agree with Larry Elder or Thomas Sowell, anything I play, call in so I could cook you in place of them. Okay, so if you agree with anything Thomas, so now I'm done. I'm done clicking your links, Kwame. Matter of fact, I have to take your link now. Okay, because you're doing too much. You're doing too much, and I gotta delete some of your stuff. Okay, so I'm not going to do the misinformation today. We don't need your funny stats. I'm going to cover all this the correct way. All right. So you're freestyling this, and you're just, you don't know how to research. Like, you're just typing. What you're most likely doing is just typing in something, and you're getting something for what you typed, whether wrong or right. So I'm gonna dismiss. I'm gonna just dismiss what you just typed. Right. We don't need your information, bro. I got this covered the right way. All right. We don't need what you got. Okay. Nah, no. No, Key. I even like I promise you, I know this school to prison pipeline better than most people. That's why I want somebody to call in first. And you're gonna call in about the school to prison pipeline. And you're gonna tell me if Larry Elder was right. Did he make a great point? Okay. So matter of fact, let me clip that. I'm gonna go back because I want to move on, but I want to clip that because I want to come back and cook them. So let me clip this. Okay. Now look, when they make these videos, look, where's the proof of systemic racism? So I guess this is why Myron Gaines takes this approach. RIP Myron Gaines when I call in because they want us to prove systemic racism. He said, "Where's the proof?" Oh my God, are you serious? All right, yeah, but they say that, but they don't have a call-in number. They don't. He don't have a history of engaging with callers that disagree with him. All right. Okay, so let me just go ahead and clip this.
School board claiming that
So,
they were engaged in institutional racism. The school board expelled several students after a football game. Jesse Jackson sued the remain disturbed. Jesse
okay,
Jackson
cool.
disparate sentencing. Jesse Jackson, really? Jesse Jackson sued the Decatur, Illinois school signed up to teach. Jesse racism. Jesse of engaging in Jesse Jackson
Hey,
sued
he's over there reading. He can't even read
accused
correctly.
these teachers of Jesse Jackson depends, you know. Jesse Democratic Party depends, you know. Union on whom the Democrat Jesse
My fault.
teachers. Jesse Jackson
And
sued
yeah,
the Decatur, Illinois.
all they do, all their talking points is to go at the Democrats. It's not even like the truth of the American public. All because Thomas Sowell did the same thing. All they do when they have an argument or they think they're right, they'll say it and it's to go after the Democratic Party. It's never to just educate the public. It's always like an aha gotcha moment at the Democrats. Well, what about the people who just are interested in the truth, man? We don't want to be caught in that fight. Okay, so I'm gonna move on, but I want to note this in case somebody call in later. Bullet prison. Let's go to prison pipeline. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go to his sentencing.
The school board claiming that they were
Wait, is the chat all right? Wait, hold on. Let me go back to my main. Boom. These guys are tokens of white supremacy. All right. Yeah, Kwame, I don't want you to teach on this because you're just freestyling. I'll cover everything, right? And then when I get done with the live, you can put some information in there. But I want you to start. If it's my live, my information, why are you teaching in the live and you're not? This is new to you. Like this is something you got bad research. Okay. Yeah, you don't just freestyle research and just know it all. Like I don't even need a computer to talk about this stuff. Like that's how well I know these talking points. Um, I'm a victim of the school to pen pipeline for show. I'm gonna cover what it actually is. So Larry Elder did not really represent it correctly. So I'm gonna cover it correctly. And when I'm done covering it, you guys should never forget what it is again, because the name could be misleading. When we say school to prison pipeline, the name could be misleading where you think is something that is not. So just wait for me to and he's saying this clown, Larry Elder, ran for governor of our state. So glad he didn't. Yeah, I mean, but you know what's crazy? Ax, they don't believe in what they say because they have the facts with them and they got to misrepresent it. They know the public. They know their audience. He knows his audience is stupid. He knows his audience is not going to follow up. They're just going to repeat these talking points and call into podcasts like mine and get cooked and wonder why. How I get cooked? It's because you believe the coon. Okay. All right. So next up, here's the second talking point.
were engaged in institutional racism. The school board expelled several students after a football game for fighting, and Jesse Jackson sued them for bad behavior. Maybe teachers, these teachers of engaging in systemic institutional racism against the very students that they signed up to teach? Really? Now, disparate sentencing. In our criminal justice system, systemic, unwarranted racial disparities remain disturbingly common. Disparate outcomes are not only shameful and unacceptable, they impede our ability to see that justice is done. A criminal justice system that treats groups of people differently and punishes them unequally has a much more negative impact than misguided words that we can reject out of hand, end of quote.
There is a history of racial disparities in the application of our criminal laws.
It is 0.5% that a black criminal defendant will get a
Of our criminal laws.
It is true that a black criminal defendant will get a sentence 19.5% longer than a white criminal defendant who commits the same crime. What's also true is that the U.S. Sentencing Commission says this disparity can be explained away by legitimate factors. Judges make sentencing decisions based on many legitimate considerations that are not or cannot be measured. End of quote. Now, another frequently cited example of the institutional racism that supposedly exists in America is the fact that would-be borrowers are turned down at
Wait.
Now,
Judges make sentencing decisions based on many legitimate. What the fuck? That cannot be measured. What does that even mean? Hold on. I will not let that go like that. Hold on. Hold on. I can't let that go like that. Hold on. I can't let that go like that. We got to unpack this. Hold on. Because he didn't even like elaborate. He just moved on. Did he know what that meant? Hold on. Because sometimes you got to look up their quote. You got to find their quote and make sure he didn't, because he typed that in there. So I want to make sure that it is what he said it was. Hold on. Yeah, because we can't leave it like that. That's that. Um, I'm white and I say so. Talking about judges make sentencing decisions based on many considerations that are not measured or cannot be measured. I mean that dude. What the so and it's a I can't even put it in words. So in other words, you can't say they're racist. Like they have merit and morale. Mm-mm-mm-mm. All right, we are good. Let me see the chat. All right, chat. Where we at? Rate, range, peace. Like 50% of blacks get exonerated from the crime. Yeah, that's crazy. Serious question. Is this from Prager University? I don't I don't know if you're talking to me or somebody else. Yeah, he said supposedly racist. Yeah, like to deny racism. I mean, if they want to do that, then I don't mind cooking them. Looking at the title, lots of black folks who could bought the freedom of family. Exactly, MC Fact. But don't worry, I'm gonna reveal the numbers, right? Because I know how to research and I don't try to cherry pick. I just deal with the results. If it's true, it's true. If it's false, it's false. If there's context, I'm gonna give you the context. That's not what they do because they got angles. That's why when Larry Elder talks, he keeps talking about the Democrats. So when you do that, you have an angle. We FBAs, we don't give a damn Democrat, Republic. We don't care. So we're not leaning to one side. We don't give a damn which one you are. Like we like who want the smoke. All right. So he when he talked about this, he left it at it as it was. He really expand. I was expecting some type of this guy to really expound.
Disparity can crime. What's also true.
Okay, so he's responding to the disparities in jail sentences uh, from whites and blacks who do the same time, who do the same crime, but black folks get penalized harder, right, by the judicial system. So he's trying to by the judicial system. So he's trying to like explain that by this right here.
Is that the U.S. Sentencing Commission says this
And look, like he's reading. Like, dude, come on, man. He's doing a bad job of reading, and like he's just bad at it.
disparity can be explained away by legitimate factors. Judges make sentencing decisions based on many legitimate considerations that are not or cannot be measured. End of quote. Now, another frequently
He just moved on. All right. So what I'm gonna bring you here. I'm gonna bring you to the research. Plain English explanation. This quote means that while sentencing guidelines exist, like ranges for years in prison based on the type of crime, judges often weigh factors that don't fit into strict formula of measurable scales. You see, there's a bunch of bullshit. What kind of unmeasurable considerations are they talking about? Judges consider things like remorse or attitude, background, upbringing, family impact, mental health, likelihood of reoffending. Okay, so these are the things that Larry Elder's trying to hang his hat on. Why blacks get harder sentences than whites? These considerations at the bottom. It shows that sentencing isn't just numbers. Even with structured guidelines, human judgment plays a big role. Human white supremacy is how they feel about you while you're in front of them. It opens the door to bias or discretion, good and bad. A fair judge might show compassion, but a biased judge might treat two people differently for the same crime. It challenges the idea that the justice system is always objective. Some parts are like mandatory minimums, but much of it is nuanced, situational, and subjective. The quote is saying judges don't just go by the book. They often consider personal, emotional, and or social factors that can't be turned into hard data. That can lead to fairer outcomes, but it can also introduce bias, inequality, or inconsistency, especially if not checked by oversight. Right. So I don't know how you thought this was a win. So yeah, so if a judge felt like if the judge is racist himself, then that that pretty much explains why black folks get a longer sentence. It's they're considering he's black. Right. Yes, I don't know how he thought that was a win for himself. That was an L. But yeah, we're saying they're racist. They're considering their prejudice, their views on us already, the stereotypes, the propaganda before they make their sentence.
Cited example of the institutional racism that supposedly exists in America is the fact that would-be borrowers are turned down at a higher rate for mortgage applications.
According to a new report, black people in Baltimore received less than half as many mortgages as their white neighbors. Black people make up the majority of the city's population. White Baltimoreans looking to buy homes were approved for mortgages 75% of the time, compared to 61% for black applicants.
True. Would-be black borrowers are turned down at a higher
See,
rate.
see, see, this is what I'm trying to say. This dude is just cherry picking data. I mean, this is a shame, man. This dude is just cherry picking data.
Rate than would-be white borrowers, who in fact are turned down at a higher rate than would-be Asian borrowers. Now, are the banks discriminating against white people in favor of Asians? And by the way, black-owned community banks turn down would-be black applicants at least the same rate as do the majority.
Yeah, this dude is really sus right here. He real suspect. Yeah, he ain't all the way manly. It doesn't look like it, but like he thinks he's like dropping gems.
White banks. Now, when Barack Obama was a private sector,
Hey, see what he just said wasn't the problem at all. That's not the problem in the black community. What he just said and what he's shown, that is not the problem in the black community. That's not our complaints. That is not our complaints. Our complaints ain't what he just said it was. That's not.
citizens, Obama had 180 lawsuits. You see, some frequently given example of institutional racism is the alleged failure of the police to diversify its police force to look like the community. Well, in the case of America's two largest cities, New York and LA, mission accomplished. Look at this. New York City census.
It just.
America from 19, including in America.
Names for black people.
Now, what about the fact that would-be black employers were just as likely to discriminate against these alleged African American sounding names as would-be white employers? And what about so-called white names like Gertrude and Penelope? Turns out those names also faced discrimination.
Oh my God! See, he just saying stuff. I'm sure John faced the name John faces discrimination, but it's like, what is the percentages, man? Okay, that's what we going off. We're not saying that nobody faces discrimination, but the weird white names you, you just said. Show me the numbers, bro. You just talking.
But more important, is it even true? And why are we focusing on first names as opposed to last names? One study did just that. One of the criticisms of the study that purported to show that African American names were discriminated against was that Lakeisha and Jamal can denote socioeconomic class, and that employers may have made assumptions about education and income rather than race. So these researchers conducted an experiment using surnames that the U.S. Census shows overwhelmingly belong to whites, blacks, and Hispanics without using first names to signify.
All right. He just ranting. All right, so let me get to Thomas Sowell. All right, so you hear this guy just be talking. Okay. All right. So let me go. Let me go Thomas Sowell.
For the most part, it's objective, it's objective throughout. It's calm, it's analytical. But when you take on this modern progressive position that racism accounts for anything, there are passages in which you're angry. I felt that there are passages in which there's emotion that is very
Look at this guy.
contagious. So let me just read a little bit to you. Median black family income has been lower than median white family income for generations. But the median per capita income of Asian groups is more than 15,000 a year higher than the median per capita income of white Americans. Is this the white supremacy we're so often warned about?
Okay, so now I got a screenshot of this. This is the dumbest effing point that you can make. This is white supremacy is gonna fire this guy. Okay, this was a dumb talking point right here. That's why I'm screenshotting it. I got to. Okay, I gotta say this. I'm gonna have a Thomas Sowell fan um, speak to this. I gotta see if they agree to that bullshit. Mm. And let me clip this. Let me clip this. I'm gonna get back to that. My fault. Damn, it's so small. You know what? Forget it. Forget it. So he lied about that.
In white
He,
family income for generations. But the median per capita income of Asian groups is more than 15,000 a year higher than the median per capita income of white Americans. Is this the white supremacy we're so often warned about?
that cannot be his talking point. It can. It just cannot be. And I didn't see that. Okay. All right. Give me a second for this to load up. Let me see how the chat feeling. The chat said, I don't generalize groups of people with faith. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace. I'm trying to read the chats. Hold on, let me tiny ass letters. Turn the sound up. Got to turn the sound up. I could have sworn I did a mic check. Peace, peace. I'm trying to read the chats. Hold on, let me. Yeah, brother. My playback was great. Who said that? Um, well, whoever said it. Um, Phone number was great. Okay. Please tap in from work. Peace, Donnie. Okay. Dang. Okay. So anyway, let's go back. Oh yeah, I gotta do this. So remember, he said Asians are doing better than blacks and whites. But this is a red wing conservative talk point. I always have it. Listen. Okay, so of course you can't hear it.
Back in the book segment tonight, a follow-up to my talking points memo on why some African Americans are failing in the marketplace. It's mostly about poor education, fractured families, and a culture that does not prepare folks to compete in the competitive marketplace. To make that point, I compared African Americans to Asian Americans.
Okay, so now this is 8 years ago, and they love to compare us. No other group, not no other. Uh, the Latin community, they don't do this with. Okay, or
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, unemployment for Asians, 4.5%, 11.4% for blacks, 5.3% for whites.
okay, so this is bad faith argument. So now he's going to run from Asians and go to the blacks from diaspora in the country. Okay, I got him mute again. My fault.
The main point, the evidence against it, I think, is that black African immigrants who are often darker than American blacks, thrive in America. If there's so much racism, how do Nigerians do so well? They out-earn the average white American.
Well, because they are motivated and they'll do jobs that other people
They have
do.
two parents,
right.
And they were...
Okay, so that's more lies, mixing truth with falsehood. This one parent household is the reason, or even welfare is the reason. Like they got all these one answers, right? Well, how about all of it? Well, who is responsible for all of it? That's what we try to get down to, right? We try to get who's responsible. That's the disclosure. Thomas Sowell pointing out what FBI do to the FBI do to diaspora and the continental Africans. I'm gonna ignore you. I gave you the phone number. You ain't call in. I'm gonna ignore you. If you don't call in, I can't read you. I try to stay unbiased when it comes to A's, groups, etc. Okay, they said. Anyway. I wanted you guys to see that white supremacists and then coons and tethers, they come behind and they borrow the talking points. Now, they borrow the talking points of white supremacists. So all Thomas Sowell is doing, he's borrowing the talking points of Charles, Mary, Jared Taylor, and other seasoned older white people that have a hatred for FBAs, and they bring all type of funny stats out. And then Coons quote it because if white folks quote it, they'll be called racist and banned and blah, blah, blah. So they'll get a Coon most times and sometimes a tether to say it. So they say, look, he's black. Okay. He's black. He can't be racist. All right. So anyway, so I'm gonna touch on all this. So he talked about the Asian community, right? That's what Thomas Sowell said. He said the Asian community, they got it going on.
Raised differently. Right. But the main point, the evidence against it, I think, is that black African immigrants who are often darker than American blacks, Okay, I got this. Than American black. Okay, I got this on repeat because white people try to pretend that racism is all about being dark. Bro, there's a lot of light-skinned people that
that deal with racism. Okay. But they like to pretend racism is only about the darker your skin is. So why when the islanders come over here and the Caribbean come over here, how come they are able to maneuver through the V and the obstacles when they, got a bigger target in their back?
Works thrive in America. If there's so much racism, how do Nigerians do so well? They out earn the average white American.
Okay, so he said Niger. You see, I'm telling you, these guys are fools. Now I already gave you an answer of this question, but he said this back in the day that we didn't have the resources we have today to cook them on the fly.
Because they are motivated and they'll do jobs that other
Culture,
people
they have
do.
two parents,
right.
And they were raised differently.
Right.
But the main point, the evidence against it, I think, is that black African.
Okay, so we heard that already. Here he is. Oh, hold on. Yeah, you gotta mute the back. You gotta mute the back.
Yeah, yeah, I muted the back.
All right, hold on. Hold on, real fast. Okay. All right. Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead and see what you want to say while I look for the next video to play. Go ahead.
I wanted to know your exact problem with Mr. Lowell's position, because I see you take the same position against black immigrants. So I wanted to know how come you now switch up your position now that it's FBA.
Well, what makes you think I agree with anything he's saying? I'm saying he's lying.
As far as what part?
Well, he's misrepresenting data. Like he's just saying stuff and it's not the whole truth. So I can say, hey, LeBron sucks because he kept missing layups. I mean, there's some truth to that. He might have missed 4 layups, but made 100 in a row. So just because I said something doesn't mean I told the whole truth. So I'm saying he's saying things and he's leaving it there. The same thing that Larry Elder did. They're saying things and they're leaving it there, but they're not telling the whole truth. So I'm gonna come back to the fair sentencing. I'm gonna come back to Larry Elder. I don't know if you watched when I played the school to prison pipeline, and even Thomas Sowell points. So I'm just trying to get all the points out there so you guys can see it, and then we're gonna come back and revisit how everything they said wasn't the whole picture. And when you don't tell the whole picture, if you tell any lie, it's a lie. Like there's no, oh yeah, well 90% was truth or 70. No, if you got lies mixed into it, bro, it's a lie. All right, because that's how scammers get you. Scammers got to tell some truth to lie to you. Overall, the goal is to lie and put one over you. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna tackle each one, but I got some more of them. I'm not done playing. Okay, so for example, look, I got one for you, which you probably know. All right. So let me go back. Okay, right here. Right here, right here. Right here. Can you see, okay. When you can see my screen, let me know.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I don't see nothing yet.
It'll pull up.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I don't see nothing yet. Yeah, I see the screen.
Okay, so let me read
medium.
it. Yeah, let me read it. So it says median Black American family income has been lower than median. I mean, hey, Chad, he just writing shit on like at this point, this is his book. At this point, he just saying stuff. Like I don't even know how this is supposed to make sense. But he's saying median Black American family income has been lower than median white American family income for generations, but the median per capita income of Asian groups is more than 15,000 a year than median per capita income of white Americans. Is this white supremacy we are so often warned about? Okay, so if you could just speak, what does Asian income compared to whites or black got anything to do with FB arguments against white supremacy and how they locked us out of wealth for 100 years? What does Asian income got to do with that?
I think Mr. Sowell is looking at it from his standpoint of view. And he's a Harvard graduate, so he's born in the 1930s. So he's looking at it, if I was born in the 1930s and I could accomplish all these things, it's no, how could the Asian community come in roughly around the 1950s and 60s and basically surpass the black community in America?
Mm-hmm.
But I understand your stance, because it is a lot of things that you got to factor in with the prisoner pipeline and
Wait, no. Yes, no. That's not it. The Asians that come over here, are these any Asians? Like, for example,
oh no,
let's
these
go
are
with China.
these visas. Yeah, these are the top.
Okay, wait.
Top.
Right. Well, hold on. Yeah, these are okay. So watch this. You can't compare an elitist group to any populace, because the elitist is the top of the cream, and you're comparing it to every last black person. That means our good and our bad and our medium. You're supposed to compare the top of Asians with the top of blacks, or the median Asians with the median Asians, and the bottom Asians with the bottom blacks. You can't take your best barbers. Like, let's do hair cutting, right? I can't take my best barbers and put it in your city, right, where you live at, and you got a mixture of barbershops, good ones, bad ones, and like illegitimate ones, right? That don't even got a license. And I can't say, hey, look at us. We're look at our shops, customers per shop, right? Or look at how much we make per shop. I'm biased. You put your master barbers in a city where we have a bunch of all type of barbers, first year, second year, good, bad, and some master barbers. So that's not a fair comparison. Okay, that's called those Asians are called hyper selective. Like they were hyper selected. They can't come into the country without money first and great education. So you might have heard me say the term brain drain. Okay, so it becomes a brain drain for China or wherever they come from, and it becomes a brain gain for America. Now, real simple, without being long with it. America goes to do this. America does not want to pay money to train people. They don't want to waste money. They rather let your country either train you for free or waste money training you, and then they'll take the finished product over here. That's how they work. That's called a brain gain for America. That's a brain gain where they spent no money to get you educated, but they benefit from your education. That's a brain gain. Your country either trained you for free or funded your education, but they don't benefit from your education because you're over here. Okay, so those people are highly selected to come to America. So what you look at the screen, this is a gross misrepresentation of what I'm saying. Like they're being disingenuous because you cannot compare minority groups to a populace, especially the elitists. So what they do, the what so first of all, no scholar that has no scholar that has a great reputation would do that. It would be someone like Thomas Sowell, someone who's not respected, because scholars, what they do is you could just Google it. They compare immigrant groups to immigrant groups, and they compare white and black because both of us are populous. So they compare all of white America to all of black America in all stats. It could be crime, it could be employment, whatever it is. When they do that, they compare all of white America, the good, the bad, the ugly, versus Black America, the good, the bad, the ugly. And they compare immigrant groups to immigrant groups. You don't mix and match. So for him to say this in his book is the key point of he's being disingenuous. He's misrepresenting the stats, the data.
So could we compare the Black community to the Hispanic community then?
Well, no, because the Hispanic community were not locked out of wealth for 100 years. Their cities weren't bombed. They were not marginalized like us. They were not dealing with forced labor, okay, cheap labor. They didn't have sharecropping history. They were not blocked out of Social Security, GI Bill. They were not denied home loans. They were not redlined anywhere to degree. So no, you cannot. You could only compare somebody that went through what we went through like us. So you can compare Sudanese people in Sudan, right? When the British came over there and divided their country and did the divide and conquer tactic, they went through something, some harsh times. So you can compare them to us, and we're running circles around them. You can go to Nigeria, and you can see how their country was carved up and left to starve, right? Where they would strip the resources and pretty much left to bleed out. So they went through hard times. So you can compare the Nigerians in Nigeria to Americans to America. So you say Hispanics, my boy. If you do Hispanics, you got to compare Hispanics in their homeland. You can't take people out of their homeland to start over with a new history. So they don't have a history in America where they're being systematically locked out of wealth. And also,
so they're not being discriminated against either.
Okay. All right. So look, I'm gonna get you off. You're not listening. You're not listening. All right. Yeah. Have a good night. You're not listening. It's not about this. White folks get discriminated. So it's not about. See, he's not listening. Brother, we were actually murdered. We were lynched. What the hell are you talking about? He's not listening. So, all right. I'm gonna time him out too. I'm gonna time him out for the whole day. So, brother, not only can you not be involved in a show, or on the podcast, but you also can't come back until tomorrow 11:50. I'm gonna time you out for 24 hours. All right, because I'm tired of people. I'm trying to be. You see me. I'm having a. When he was talking, I was totally quiet. I'm trying to have a legitimate, honest conversation with the guy. And he keeps saying, "Hey," like he just trying to respond. Yeah. So, bro, I did time you out for 24 hours. You cannot come back here until 11:53 p.m. tomorrow because I'm trying to have a genuine conversation, and you're just looking for something else to say. He said, "So they were not discriminated either, brother. White folks. I got to start calling these tethers brothers. A son. Uh, white people also face discrimination." But that's disingenuous to compare white discrimination to Black discrimination. Sure, Spanish folks face discrimination, but bro, they face discrimination based upon, they are getting it indirectly, fool. White supremacy was not set up to stop Hispanic people from progressing. White supremacy was set up to stop Black FBA from progressing, and everybody else are catching strays. The Irish face discrimination. The Italians face discrimination. The Chinese face discrimination. Matter of fact, most immigrants that come over here face discrimination. Like nobody's saying there's no discrimination in these folks' lives from white supremacists. No, but they are facing discrimination that's intended for us. So they're catching strays. They're being caught, and then like for a fisherman is trying to catch salmon, and sometimes they'll get other stuff in the net and they'll throw it out. Or sometimes they'll eat that too or sell that too, whatever. But they didn't intend on catching it. But since it's in the net, they might find use for it. Maybe, shrimp or whatever. But the intentions is just to catch salmon. So if they cast the net out there and they reel back in salmon, and only salmon, they're happy. They don't care if nothing else in the net. Now, if they catch shrimp here and this data here and that, they're like, okay, whatever. We'll find use for this. But the intended goal is to only catch salmon. Systemic racism was a system to lock out FBAs, just us, because it was only just us here. That we talking about. You dig? Like we were the labor force. Even after slavery, we were the labor force. So, and we also, chat, listen to what I'm saying to you. So I'm the first to say this. I'm the first to say this because I can even explain the deep-seated hatred from whites towards us. The deep-seated hatred is because we actually deleted them. The once owned slave took up arms in 1863 and deleted their masters. That was traumatizing to them. Some of their relatives right now is not around, right? Uncle Charlie, I miss my Uncle Charles, y'all. Okay, well, he's gone. And who took him out? A once enslaved person. They were so disgusted and disrespected because they feel like the Union was purposely shoving it down their throat to like they feel like the Union was doing it on purpose, like having FBAs, chase one down and delete them. You dig? Get them, Toby. Run them down and delete them. Like yeah, so like they felt that you can listen. I read some of their journals and things like that. Not journals, diaries. Though they were mad as hell when they were at the lowest point in life. They were defeated. The South was ripped to shreds. Their home is torn apart. There's no money, and they're looking at FBAs in union clothes with a gun in their hand, smiling, drinking moonshine. You dig? That was a disturbing sight for them. So this is why they could never get along with us. See, you tethers don't have that history. The Hispanics don't have that history. The Chinese don't have that history. They were not armed to delete good old whites. For the first time, we had a license, maybe second time, the Revolutionary War, but the Civil War for sure, we had a license to delete white supremacists. That's where the deep-seated hate comes from, my boy. But because you're not FBA, you don't understand. So this is why once, the Unions once the North pulled the troops out and left us, and they took the guns with them, and they left us defenseless, the South got their get back. The Klan formed right away. If you got siblings, right, younger siblings, and you normally bully them, right, but you got parents that put that foot to your backside, and they so mainly, your siblings usually be in order. They won't disrespect you. But because mom and dad right there, they showing out. And you like, bro, I can't wait till mom and dad leave. Okay, have your fun now. You trying to show up on me? Okay, have your fun now. Wait till they leave. Cause they gonna leave, bro. They gotta go to work. You just soaking it up. Well, that's how they felt. They're like, okay, don't worry. They white like us. Yeah, they use you to defeat us, but they're white like us. Their loyalty is with us. You'll see. Y'all laughing and having fun, drinking moonshine now, but just wait. Just wait. They gonna leave. It's gonna be just you and I, and you're gonna find out. And that's exactly what happened. Okay, so that's exactly what happened. So I hope you're listening, Tether. But y'all got a whole different history and relationship with whites than us. Y'all got a brand new start. There's no ugly history. with you deleting them and they deleting you. Now we have the 100 years of lynching. They did us dirty in those coal mines. They worked us to death. They had us sign faulty contracts for like working on this is after slavery, where some folks worked in a plantation. Like they locked people up in contracts, like Don King contract, Bob Adams contracts, like pretty much a slave all over again, in debt to your boss who's acting like he's your owner still. Okay. So let me read the chat. Let me see y'all rocking with me. Let me see. Yeah, the dude try to compare. Like, but again, he's not. Look, I don't respect that. Like, let's just have a conversation. So you don't think Hispanics being discriminated against? Bro, how many ethnicities are we gonna talk about? The screen talked about Hispanics and talked about whites and blacks. I was explaining how that screenshot was disingenuous. What about Hispanics? Well, he didn't bring up Hispanics. I thought we were commenting on Sowell. So he's entering his own argument. All right, fine. Let's talk about Hispanics. What about them? Because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go off target. Okay, rabbit holes. Okay, what about them? So they not being discriminated against? Yo, we're not talking about discrimination. We're talking about bad faith arguments. I already established that. He said, "What do you have against Mr. Sowell?" I said, "Bro, he has bad faith arguments." Him and Larry Elder, they're disingenuous. He said, "Okay, explain." I showed a case in point. I said, "Bro, why is he talking about Asian when it's about black and white?" Oh, because they come over here, and he even acknowledged that these are the elitists of the Asian populace. He even acknowledged that these are the elites. So I explained, bro, you can't compare a handful of elitists to a 43 million. What are you doing? You can't take our elitists and put us in, let's say, Brazil, and then brag that we're running circles around the Brazilian. Like you just can't do that. Because if you want to do that, then let's talk about the Americo Liberians. They were elite. They went to Liberia and they took Liberia and they had the indigenous people as second class citizens. Whether it's right or wrong, my point is the elite is going to rise to the top. So to make a fair comparison, you have to compare elites with elites. You got to compare median with medians and the bottom with the bottom. So let me share my screen. So with that being said, that's a bad faith argument. This is a bad faith argument. And don't forget, this argument is trying to justify this. This bad faith argument is trying to, I hate when it does this. Uh, why does it do that? Give me a second. One more time. Okay, so it lets me change. I hate when it does. Okay. So look what he's doing. He presented this bad faith argument with the intent to act like this doesn't exist. So that's why. So what is Kwame talking about. It's like, Kwame, do you agree? I mean, look at the conclusion, brother. Well, not brother, Tether. Look at the conclusion. The conclusion he is making is that white supremacy doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. That's why Larry Elder, he was challenging systemic racism, he was saying, prove it. So Kwame, do you agree with the conclusion? The conclusion is, do you believe white supremacy exists? I couldn't get that far because he was so disrespectful because he was not trying to listen. He just trying to respond. So it's not about discrimination, man. What's wrong with you? It has nothing to do with discrimination. It's all about the damage. The damage, man. It's more so about the damage and the history. Okay. So like, but these guys are so desperate to try to act like we don't have an excuse. Like there's no justification for why we're being treated a certain way by white supremacists. Okay. So now look, I'm gonna play. So look, it says, is this the white supremacy we are so often warned about? He's talking about he's talking about Asians who's an elitist group, small numbers, highly educated and wealthy. And look, chat, some of these people are already wealthy upon entering into the country. So that means they got their wealth before America had anything to do with it, especially Nigerians. They already come over here with money. They're rich in their homelands or wealthy. They're wealthy and rich in their homelands. So America, they're just like leveling up more when they come here. That's the goal for them, is to get more connections and network. They're not coming here to like to have money. They already got it. So these Asians you're talking about compared to um white white people, Thomas Sowell, some of these Asians make more than white folks in Asia. Like they don't need to come to the United States and they already make more money. Like, if you compare their same stats, they still make $15,000 more than white Americans collectively without working in the country. This is every country, every like country on the rise, they have their elitist class that runs oil or some type of import export, cabal, or whatever, right? And they make a lot of goddamn money. And they're gonna make more money than the average citizen in most countries. But they are not the measuring stick. You don't parade LeBron James to other countries to prove that Black Americans individually are better than everybody else in the world. No, LeBron's one individual that's great that will cook them. But unbiased sports, I'm not LeBron. I'm me. I'm not cooking those goddamn Lithuanian pros. They're gonna cook me. So LeBron doesn't rep my talent when he does his thing across the world. He doesn't rep my talent. He reps he reps FBA excellence, of course, but he doesn't rep my talent because my talent does not reflect him and he doesn't reflect me. So bad faith arguments is what they make. Asians already rich coming to the country. Oh, Asians make more than white folks. See, so there's no white supremacy. Because why would white supremacy allow that to happen? Bro, they're not allowing anything. That's inevitable. They're elites. They're highly educated. And this, don't forget, it's collective. It's collectively. They're not going individually. Of course, they couldn't match with Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. No way. Warren Buffett. No way. Okay, so, but collective. Boy, yeah. And I guarantee you, when I booted him and timed him out for 24 hours, I guarantee you he doesn't even, like, he still doesn't get why I kicked him off. I guarantee you he doesn't get why I say it's a bad fit. I guarantee you he does not get why I say it's a bad. After I explained it 10 times over, I guarantee you he still doesn't get it. I guarantee you. Let me read some of these chats. Okay. So Crockett might be a test. Crockett can't fire any translators, unfortunately. Yeah, she definitely behaved like one. She definitely behaved like one. I can't name one black Democrat, regardless of age, that's doing anything for blacks. He said the political problem in America and Africa is that we don't have a physical repercussions for the leadership if they are BS and plain. Yeah, she is a right at all. Like we can't enforce anything. We can't even like boycott them and make sure they pour nothing. I don't. Now we can definitely exile them and excommunicate them, but we're not on code like that. So we're trying to promote being on code in large numbers, so we can do that. Okay. So because real estate don't act, yeah, funny. People like Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, etc. will call out bootlegs. Today we don't have anyone calling out. Yeah, at all. Rain is, do you really understand who's the real deal? They never told related Kyle Rittenhouse to his. They never retaliated. Wait, you said related? Kyle Rittenhouse to his own father. White supremacists compare us to other immigrants. Immigrants should be compared against their right. We ain't, yeah, acts, that's the proper way to do it. And professionals that respect their professionalism do that. Okay, so, um, but the dude Kwame is like, he's like lost. And it's unfortunate because I truly believe he's on that spectrum because he can't get simple stuff. And this ain't the first time. All right. Anyway, so let's move on. So what else? So I'm so glad I took them on a talking point. So these guys are weak, man. These guys are weak. We'll cook these guys in a face-to-face debate.
Of white Americans. Is this the white supremacy we're so often warned about? For more than a quarter of a century, in no year has the annual poverty rate of black married couple families, been as high as 10%. And in no year has the poverty rate of Americans as a whole been as low as 10%. If black poverty is caused by systemic racism, do racists make an exception for blacks who are married?
Okay. So I mean, like the hey, I'm not gonna respond to this one. Time wasting.
I guess you're allowed to be angry.
Look. So now, I guess you're allowed to be angry. Look at this coon. He starts smiling.
Yes. Well,
Dude, look. A white man pat him on his head. Look, he's smiling and he had to sit up. This makes him feel good. Yeah, he sounds like Jesse Lee Peterson.
yes.
So, do you have the feeling when you're addressing this notion that racism accounts for everything, do you have the feeling that the arguments are subtle, it's persuasive, you can forgive someone for buying that argument? Or do you?
Uh, this got almost 1 million views. If I go to the comments section, it's discussing like white supremacists and tethers like Kwame eating this stuff up.
You have the feeling that it's willful, that the case is so clearly mistaken that there's a willfulness about it.
No, I don't. I think that people don't look for certain evidence, and therefore they don't find it. And so, on the basis of what they know at a given time.
And so now let me tell you why. Let me tell you why coons and white supremacists, why they have to compare us to immigrants, because they know immigrants didn't lock us out of wealth. So they know they can never compare us to white Americans, because we're gonna say, well, of course you got a head start. You locked us out of wealth for 100 years. Why you took everything? And you want to brag about that? So that's why they don't like to compare white Americans to us, but they run to the immigrants. Okay. And then we like, hey, but those immigrants are not the average people in their country. These are the top. Pull those average immigrants over, and let's see how they survive in America. And we already know how they survive in America. They become cocaine sellers. They drive drunk, kill people. They RAPE, everything you're reading right now, and ICE be looking for them. So when you take these immigrants who are not the elite, they do in America exactly what they do in their country: rob, steal, and kill.
This may be very plausible. The problem is that you don't. What you really need are other people with different orientation who are skeptical and who will then look for things and find things that are very different from that. One of the things that I found interesting was the fact that there are various counties in the United States which are among the poorest counties in the country, and 6 of those counties have a population that ranges from 90% white to 100% white.
Appalachian counties.
Yes.
Kentucky, and Ohio, as I recall.
Yeah, but mainly it's the hillbilly
Okay, so
communities.
Right.
So this is his hillbilly theory. This is hilarious.
And of course, there was that great book that was written, The Hillbilly Elegy. It was on the bestseller list for more than a year consecutively.
Okay, cool. I'm so glad you gave me a name. Elegy. Okay. Let's fact check hillbilly elegy. I'm so glad this idiot gave me a hillbilly elegy. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's see what we can dig up on hillbilly elegy. Okay. Okay. I'm so glad they gave us names. Look at this. I'm so glad.
Elegy was on the bestseller list for more than a year consecutively.
Okay, so bestsellers don't mean it's accurate information.
It's now Senator Vance.
Yes, and these are people who have faced zero racism.
They are white.
And they are white and zero racism. And also they're back in the 30s when they did IQ studies, their IQs were not only at the same level as those of blacks, they had the same pattern, namely that the young people, whether they were black or hillbilly,
You know, it's crazy. A couple black immigrants use this to debate Tariq Nasheed. This is crazy.
Would have an IQ very close to the national average at age 6. But by the time they were teenagers, it just kept going down and down and down because it's relative to the other people of that age group, and they simply were falling behind. So it was clearly not biological; it was social. But despite that, these hillbilly counties had incomes that were not only lower than the national average, they were lower than the average of black incomes for a period of half a century. It may have been longer than that because I only went through half a century. But in every study that was done over that half century, they scored lower, their family incomes were lower than the family incomes of blacks. So obviously there must be other things that cause people to be poor other than racism.
All right.
All right. So you hear the stupid shit, bro. Again, what is his argument? White people always been poor in America. I mean, I don't understand, bro. Okay, I would love to talk to this old dude before he croak. It's like, dude, why were white people given 160 acres of land? What was the point of that? Because land was money. Land and home ownership is generational wealth. Okay. So Thomas Sowell, why were white people given 160 acres of land for free? They didn't have to work for it. Nothing, they just got for free. Why? Why? And I think it was a total of 75 million together. Look at me lying. I'm trying to recall I'm trying to freestyle. But it was like a lot of land in total. Maybe 7,500,000. I don't know. It was more than that. No, it was in the millions, but I can't recall, the actual number. But Thomas, so why? Okay, why were white people able to get free labor around the clock, right? Why, Thomas Sowell? Okay, and don't forget the slavery after slavery labor. Thomas Sowell, why? Okay, so this is all welfare. When you got people working for free, that's welfare. Like that's assistance. That means you can't do it on your own. Okay, Thomas Sowell, can you explain why people failing and they needed to uh do the zoning laws? White people failing, so they had to give out home loan breaks. White folks failing, so the FHA and then the GI Bill, the Social Security Act, the ABCA. This is all for failing white folks. So now you got the DEI, the affirmative action. These are all for failing white folks. White folks has always been failing in this country. So white folks' failure, obviously, dumbass, don't have anything to do with racism. I mean, to me, I thought that argument was dumb. Oh, they're not. So obviously, a failure and unsuccess can come by ways different than racism. Yeah, stupid. Everybody's not gonna be rich. And again, white folks are the laziest people to ever live in America. So, but he thinks he hit on something great. All right, so it says yes. Let me just play it. So I just Googled. Y'all see me? I just Googled this on the fly. I have no idea what it's gonna say.
Yes, there are some truths in Hillbilly Elegy, but the book is also filled with oversimplifications, stereotypes, and political bias. Let's break it down piece by piece. What is Hillbilly Elegy? Written by J.D. Vance in 2016, Hillbilly Elegy is part personal memoir, part social commentary. It chronicles Vance's upbringing in a working-class white family from Appalachia that eventually moved to Ohio. The book became hugely popular as a window into the white American working class, especially after Trump's election. What Hillbilly Elegy gets right. 1. Cycles of poverty and trauma exist in poor white communities. Vance writes about growing up around domestic violence, addiction, joblessness, and broken families. This is accurate for many families in post-industrial Appalachia, where industries like coal and steel collapsed, leaving economic and emotional devastation behind. 2. Addiction and disillusionment are real. The opioid crisis, especially in rural white America, is very real. Hillbilly Elegy highlights how hopelessness and pain can fuel substance abuse and depression, and how it spreads
Really?
generationally.
Oh, really?
3. Some people do escape through personal discipline. Vance attributes his success to the military, education, and personal determination. That's true for some, but his story is the exception, not the rule.
Right.
Where Hillbilly Elegy falls short big time. 1. It pushes a blame the victim narrative. Vance leans hard on the idea that personal choices, not systems, are the main cause of poverty.
Told you.
He downplays structural issues like deindustrialization, lack of investment in rural economies, discriminatory policies, especially in housing, education, and labor. He paints poverty as a moral failure rather than a systemic outcome, which conveniently aligns with conservative talking points.
Conservative.
2. No real policy analysis. Despite talking about social decay, Vance offers no serious solutions. He criticizes welfare, but doesn't
They
address
hate
corporate
welfare.
offshoring, wage
Right.
stagnation, tax policy that favors the rich. 3. He universalizes a personal story. Vance presents his
Wow.
own family's dysfunction as typical of hillbillies or poor white America,
Right.
which is both insulting and inaccurate. Many Appalachians do not suffer from abuse or addiction and live with dignity despite hardship. He ignores Appalachian community organizing, labor history, and cultural richness. Scholar Elizabeth Caddick called it a book about poor people written for rich people. 4. Political opportunism. Vance pivoted into conservative politics, using the book to build his brand.
I see
Many
that.
critics say the book was written to justify pulling the ladder up, blaming poor people for their situation, while Vance himself benefited from government programs, affirmative action at
Oh,
Yale,
yeah.
and social support.
Affirmative action.
Final verdict, partial truth, biased frame. Element, truth, bias, nomen, personal struggle.
Partial
His own
truth.
story is real and powerful. Cultural issues in Appalachia, but generalized unfairly.
Partial truth.
Systemic causes of poverty, ignored or denied. Over-focus on personal responsibility. Solutions, none offered. More judgment than vision. Political use. Yes. Weaponized to push conservative ideology. Summary, Hillbilly Elegy is an emotionally gripping memoir, but it's not an accurate or complete analysis of rural poverty. It cherry picks one family's trauma,
Told you.
ignores systemic oppression, and pushes a bootstrap narrative that oversimplifies real economic suffering. Let me know if you want a debate script refuting the book's central claim.
Hey, chat. What I say? I said they cherry pick. AI said they cherry pick. I said they tell a half truth. But look at AI said. AI said they tell a partial truth. I said that's what I said. I said these guys are liars. And listen, y'all gotta stop borrowing conservative points without thoroughly fact checking them. Cause a lot of times it be straight lies. I said he mixed. I said they're disingenuous. So this right here said the same thing. It said the book is disingenuous. They have a narrative. They want to push conservative points. He was going into politics and he wanted to be a conservative, so he had to, bow down. And you see, all of them do that. The candidates, almost all of them, when they want to be accepted in that conservative circle, they got to come up with some foolishness to talk about. And think about it. They listen. You got to always think whatever they hate, it must be some value in it. They all hate welfare. It's like, well, damn, why you hate welfare so much? Like they hate because they leveled up on welfare. They know welfare can help you level up. So they want to just do this. You know how you see like a large gap and you put like a little stairs right there, like a little small, like five steps, and you walk up the little thing, you ain't got to climb up nothing. What they did was after they walked up, they removed that 5-step ladder. And we all got to climb up. We use our muscles and strength, and that's what they do. So They had welfare there for themselves and only for themselves. And the minute we qualify, okay, let's get rid of it. That's exactly what happened. Because they know if you use it right, it helps you level up. It sustains you from drowning. And if you're a go-getter, you use that to go to school or look for better work, get your study on, whatever. Like, but yeah, you use it for that. You don't use it as a way of life, like how so many people do today. But that's why they hate welfare just for that. Because they know it can actually help you level up. All right. Okay. So now what other lies being told? Told you, man. Like these guys are trash. Is this your king?
People in low-income American hillbilly counties already face zero racism because they're virtually all white.
Yes.
Yet they have lower incomes than blacks, just as you were saying. In other words, some behavior patterns seem to pay off.
So this is already debunked.
Now, this book is dedicated to fallacies, to showing errors in premises and errors in analysis. It's not dedicated to an alternative explanation. Nevertheless, you've got this argument lurking in here that it's the way people live, it's the way cultural patterns. So what are the patterns that pay off?
Well, what?
Pull your bootstrap.
Oh my heavens, that's a much larger book than this.
Well, you've got time on your hands.
Look, these white folks love these coons, man. They love these coons.
In terms of policy for public.
So what he's really doing, listen, look at it like this. Look at it like this. He's interviewing him before he sign off on him and say, yeah, this is our guy. He's making sure that all of his T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. They want to make sure this is our coon. Okay, how well do you know you're talking script? Right? Go.
Policy. What does not pay off is having charismatic leaders depending upon government to do things. Because if you look what has happened to blacks before and after, there was a massive government effort on their behalf. The poverty.
Now, keep in mind, now I'm going to clip that. White people relied on government their entire existence, collectively. White people relied on government their entire existence. And they locked us out from government our entire existence. So now that government is available, they try to talk us out of it. They try to block us out of it. They do not want us getting any assistance like they did. They want us to do what they never did, and that's to continuously get it from the mud. Like Wall Street was built from the mud, so Oklahoma, Rosewood, all of our affluent cities that we were left to die in, to rot in, became affluent cities, and we got them all out the mud without any government assistance. White people can't say that by themselves. No Tether can say that, and no goddamn Hispanic or Asian can say they got it from the mud. They did not have government help. None.
Poverty rate among blacks, if you start in 1940 instead of 1960, because 1960 is the magic number for people who are saying the government, you see, did all these wonderful things and blacks advanced because of it. In 1940, the black poverty rate was 87%.
Okay, so you saying 1940, so you got to know your dates. So this is why none of them could FUX with me, okay? So none of them could FUX with me. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me just write it because it's a stupid thing. None of them can do this with me. And it's because, let me write it where it's clear. Okay, none of them can do this with me. It's because once they say dates, I got them. Because I know my dates. So he said he didn't want to start in 1960. He said let's start in 1940. Now 1940 is right after the HOLC, the SHA, and the New Deal, the GI Bill, the Social Security Act, um, ADC, and programs alike. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, so they can't FUX with me. All right, hold on. So he's going to explain our condition. This is shortly after the Great Depression. So white America was bailed out of the Great Depression. They were saved from the repercussions of the ripple effects and repercussions of the Great Depression with, like I said, 1933 HOLC, 34 FHA, 35 Social Security Act, the New Deal. We were never saved. So he's talking about so now keep in mind the context. So this is 5 years after HOLC, FHA, and the New Deal, okay? Where we got no help. White folks got all of the help. So look, he's going to our unemployment rate. Go ahead, brother. I gotta stop saying brother.
The black poverty rate was 87%. By 1960, it was down to 47%.
That's dramatic.
From 1960 to 1970, it went down to 30%. And
Let me back up. I missed anything.
The black 1960 is the magic number for people who are saying the government, did all these wonderful things and blacks advanced because of it. In 1940,
you see, they don't want, they're acting like government is an enemy to black people after they benefited their entire existence from it. Like they know that the government can even the playing field or help to even the playing field. This is why they hate government so much, and they hate us. They hate us with government.
The black poverty rate was 87%. By 1960, it was down to 47%.
That's dramatic.
From 1960 to 1970, it went down to 30%. And in 1970, affirmative action was now in place. It went down to 29%. So in the 20 years prior to 1960s, the black poverty rate went down by 40 points, and in the 20 years after 1960, it went down by 18 points. But again, you have the same thing you had with what was the Ralph Nader effect. You see,
you started in 1960. You missed this.
So, you missed all of that.
So you've got in this book. This is a point you make again and again in the section on racial fallacies. That I started thinking of it. I don't think you use these terms, but this is not an original thought with me. I started thinking of it as a hidden century of black progress.
Yes.
From emancipation with the end of the Civil War through to 1965, let's say, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, 65, through the mid-60s. You've got a century, and you argue black educational attainment rises.
Yes.
Black poverty rate drops dramatically.
Yeah.
And these are people who started with no property, overwhelmingly illiterate. This is from the moment, the year zero is 1865 for African Americans. And they climb, and the other point that you make at a number of places is that the black family is overwhelmingly intact.
Yes.
Right up to 1960, most black, go ahead, explain that.
Okay, So now here's another lie. Go ahead and mix truth with falsehood. Like, where's my family? Are y'all following? Are y'all asleep? What's going on? Jaquan, peace. So God, who's God? God must be I can't believe black God. The hell? Anyway, we had a crackhead in the chat arguing with himself. Ax, I saw that earlier today. His grandparents came from four parts. Kentucky, Oklahoma had the most black founded cities in America. With 50 cities, they are recycling. Press Hoover's policy to send the country into a depression as a great reset to level the playing field, then choose the next winners if you go kiss the ring. Let me say this to the black chat. If everyone is rich, then nobody is rich. The rich needs to be poor so they can be rich. Do you get it? I'll get it. Only trolls and sock puppets will use God as their screen name. What's the geographic of the landmass that he is talking about? Not all blacks are Americans. Okay. All right. Let's get some more.
Not only do people take credit for things that were not their doing, they overlook the negative things that came in after the 1960s as a result of policy. In 1940, 17% of black children were raised in single-parent homes.
17%.
17. At the end, I forget the exact date in the 20th century, but after these wonderful reforms were put in, that quadrupled to 68% of black children were being raised in single-parent homes. Now, there's a whole literature on all the bad things that happen to kids who are raised by single parents.
Yeah, he's right. And but white supremacy got a hand in that, and it happened during the time he said like these guys pick and choose when they read the stats. So now all of a sudden he doesn't want to know why um it tripled or quadrupled, whatever term he used. All of a sudden he don't want to know now. I forgot the dates. Yeah, okay.
Whether they are black or white, American or British, the studies show the same things. One study said that fatherlessness has a bigger effect than even race and poverty. And certainly I think back in my own life, I realized how fortunate I was because even though my biological father died before I was born, I was adopted. I was adopted into a family where I was the only child in a family of 4 adults. And these were not people who were out having an active social life someplace. The life was there in the home.
They gave you their time.
Yes, yes. And I remember years later when I became a parent, and like other new parents, I wanted to know when is a kid supposed to do this, when he's supposed to do that.
When do they walk?
And I said, how old was I when I started to walk?
That's getting boring. All right, let's get to your coon talk.
And part of the rise of blacks before was because of things that were done by blacks. Example that I think of a lot was a kid who grew up in Harlem at the same time I did. We were in the same
Come on, man.
going on. He was making more money than I was, and he would become wealthy, and he lived overseas with servants, and he came back and moved out to the wine country. And now it's not. That's what.
And now the father isn't even there.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And the laws, policies, and ways.
All right, okay. So look, so you have to be aware of what they hate. What do conservatives hate? And you might want to get on board with that. All right. The greatest danger to the liberal vision. See, look, it goes back to the Democrats. Like, listen, it's never about American people. Like, they just political bang. It's always the liberals, the conservatives. That's all they do. Why they just can't give facts to the American public? The greatest danger to the liberal vision, facts about the consequences of liberalism itself and the laws, policies, and way of life that the left has spawned. That the black family, which survived centuries of slavery, this is a lie. That's a lie. That we didn't survive centuries of slavery and generations of discrimination has disintegrated, integrated in the wake of the liberal welfare states is only one example. Now, I don't, okay. So the New Deal, right? The New Deal. I mean, this is wild. Okay, like these some wild claims. Okay, all right. So let's get it. Okay, start from tippy top. Now I hate going to wiki, but let's go there real quick. God damn. Okay, I ain't gonna read all that shit. But I just don't want you to miss it. Okay, it's called the New Deal. All right. This article may be too long to read. You don't think? Okay. So signing of the Tennessee Valley Authority Act 1933, outright President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay. Also known as FDR, was the 32nd President of the United States, serving from 1933 until his death in 1945. He is the longest serving U.S. president and the only one to have served. Oh, he served more than 2 terms? Oh, Trump will be president again. Yo, how the hell? Oh yeah, Trump's gonna serve again. Yeah, this dude served more than 2 terms. So now, President Trump got case law. He served 12 years. Okay, I guess it's like a nuance. All right. This dude served 4 terms, yo. I did not look at it. He served 4 terms. Oh yeah, Trump will get another one. I ain't saying he deserved it. I'm saying the fact that it's on the table and now we see a president already did it. Oh, okay. So the New Deal was a series of wide-reaching economic, social, and political reforms enacted by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in the United States between 1933 and 1938 in response to the Great Depression. See, this was response to the Great Depression. He was bailing out white folks. Look, they got poor. Look at the picture. The Great Depression got a poor ass white woman. Okay, poverty, low profits, high unemployment, famine. Okay, so when he said our unemployment was 87%, yeah, dude is right after the damn um Great Depression, and we didn't get the New Deal. Okay, so Roosevelt introduced the phrase upon accepting the Democrat Party's presidential nomination in 1932 before winning the election in a landslide. Okay, Herbert Hoover, blah, 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 was the 31st president and director of the U.S. FDA. Okay. Anyway, I wanted to just go over the social programs, but I didn't want to read them all. I wanted them to have like in bullet points because all of the All of the here we go. Many rural people lived in severe poverty. Many rural people lived in severe poverty, especially in the South. Major programs addressed their look at this. Major programs addressed to their needs included the resettlement. I don't even know what this is. Oh, it's some new shit for me um, to learn. The resettlement administration, the Rural Electrification Administration, REA. Okay, right here. Yeah, okay. They're gonna put me on some game. NYA, New York Youth Administration. Wow. Forest Service and Civilian Conservative Corps. But yeah, they just put me on some new stuff. Opening roads and remote areas, reforestation and purchase of marshal lands to enlarge national forests. Okay. Anyway, this was for white people who were severely poor. Okay. And guess what? This welfare, because what these are welfare projects. These welfare projects got these white folks who were in severe poverty out of poverty. A lot of them became middle class Americans because of these welfare projects. So for him to turn around and say these welfare projects were no good and they are a setback to black folks, like he's just lying. The dude is just lying.
Vision are facts about the consequences of liberalism itself and the laws, policies, and ways of life that the left has spawned. That the black family, which survived centuries of slavery and generations of discrimination, has disintegrated in the wake of the liberal welfare states is only one example. It's interesting when you really realize that the principles espoused by Thomas Sowell are for the growth and the success of the individual. Meanwhile, the liberals and the left pride themselves in grouping people as a whole into
But it's all about the liberals and conservatives. Yeah, that's all they debate.
groups so that they
That's
can
why
have
it'd be annoying to listen to these people because they just say liberals, liberals, and they gotta make you a liberal or they gotta make you a conservative. So you will hear they'll call even some of y'all guilty of it. Y'all will call Yvette liberals and y'all guys will call Tariq Nasheed conservative. Okay, stop doing that, man. You're just borrowing goofy talking points from white supremacists. White supremacists, they gotta label you. They gotta label you, and then they gotta argue what they gotta argue the position they believe you gotta hold as the label they gave you. So since okay, so they'll debate Tariq, they'll call him a conservative, and since they called him a conservative, they're gonna argue against conservatism talking points. When it comes to Yvette Carnell, oh, you're a liberal. They just make her that, and then they're gonna debate against liberalism. So they have to call you something.
avoid every form of individual or personal
It just so they have to call you one or the other. Look, I was on Thomas Sowell channel cooking white supremacists, and one didn't even want to respond to what I said. He gonna say, "Let me ask you, are you for reparations?" Like, what does that matter, bro? I mean, we not even talking about reparations. We're talking about if blacks owned slaves. Okay, so what was this? Oh, okay, okay, hold on. I got lost in this. I got lost in this a second ago. Okay, yeah. Hold on. Okay, so I'm back. All right, all right, all right, all right. The integration was a way for them to take our wealth. No, we had no wealth, man. Matt Turner, we had no wealth. We had zero. We never had wealth in this country. So yeah, we had small pockets of people with money, but that's not really wealth. That's penny. That's penny. That's peanuts. Yeah, we had no wealth. But I get what you're saying. They want to just take all money from us. But the integration was they found a way to finesse. They found a way to finesse integration where, like you said, okay, you're gonna give us your money. And it's funny you said that, Nat, because my next stuff is on exactly just that. But I'm gonna play it tomorrow morning, not tonight, because it's late. So I gotta do part two. But Nat, you're saying is right, and I'm gonna go into that. Okay, so Kevin must be another troll account. Boss. Okay, so I must be doing okay. I'm getting these trolls because like you really ain't doing your thing without trolls. Oh, I was getting jealous. I was getting upset at myself. Like not jealous, but upset myself. Like damn, I ain't doing good 'cause I ain't got no trolls. Mm. Okay, so family. I think I'm at 1 o'clock was my cutoff. So I'm gonna save part two. Okay, so we talked about some other talking points, and I didn't even come back and circle back and address the school to prison pipeline. So I'm gonna do all of that. Um, so I was supposed to do it today, but when I went to go live, my Zoom was acting up. So I said, man, screw it. So tomorrow morning, I'm gonna pick up back on this and cook. All right. Mhm. So I guess I'm gonna do a thumbnail just with Larry Elder because I'm sorry, but just Thomas Sowell. I guess I ain't gotta do a one with Larry Elder anymore because his talking points were terrible. All right, let me get a good thumbnail for it. Okay, hold on. So let me shoot. I closed it out too fast. Give me a second. All right, give me a second. Okay, I will. Damn. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let me do this. Let me go back. Okay, gotta get a thumbnail with Thomas. Okay, so I got it. Shit. Old Tommy boy. Uh-oh. Yeah, so I'm gonna read your last comments and I'm out of here. So whites, Jaquan says whites would not come in our so-called hoods. So they incentivize immigrants to come in. Right, right. They help them. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Jay. They undermine us. They undermine us. Integration because so Jay, let me add on to that. Good point. So the hood is a step down from white, suburbia. So like it's like Jay said, they're not interested in that. But the hood is a step up from those who live in third world countries. So they had to find people who felt like the hood was a step up. It was elevation. So you're right, Jay. So they didn't want to come to the hood because that's a step down. So they said, well, let's reach out to people where the hood's step up. And that's how they undermine us. Nat Turner said, integration was a nonviolent Black Wall Street takeover of FBA prosperity. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some bad that came out of that, but it was better than segregation, though, hands down. Um, Kevin got the boot gang. Yeah, he was trolling. Golden Brown, that is correct. Okay, you gotta have your own little. Okay, I like when y'all have conversations amongst yourselves. That's a successful chat when a chat can entertain themselves. So sometimes I might have an emergency where I gotta run out the door real fast to look in the car or something, and you guys could chat and hold it down and don't mind that silence. Lord Maul says, I don't know about you brothers, but I can't stand these sock puppets trolling in the chat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, when they start doing that, just get rid of them. I think Kevin was Haitian Day train. He's always talking that boss mask. Yeah, yeah, get rid of him. I'm trying to be serious. I ain't trying to play around. Maybe not both rhyme, but sport like we definitely had. Yeah, yeah, no, we definitely had money. Okay, whether it's white wealth or not, doesn't matter. We had money, we had riches, we had success, and that was going to motivate a lot of us to follow suit, right? Because Nat, they were the celebrities that of today. Like they were the Michael Jordans, Muhammad Ali, the Floyd Mayweather, everybody, 50 Cent, the Drakes, everybody who we look up to and want to be like today, these rappers, entertainers. Well, Black Wall Street were businessmen and businesswomen. And we were looking up to them like they were the celebrities. We want to be like them. We want to be businessmen like them. Okay. So that note,